Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. I'm Uday Pratap Singh. In a fresh development, 16 illegal weapons have been surrendered in Churachandpur district of Manipur. The weapons voluntarily surrendered include one M16 rifle, a 7.62 mm SLR, 2 AK rifles, 3 INSAS rifles, 2 grenade launchers, one 9 mm carbine machine gun, 2 single-barrel rifles, as well as 3 .303 rifles. Additionally, 10 rounds of 60 mm improvised mortar ammunitions, 7 rounds of AK ammunition, 40 rounds of 5.56 mm rifle ammunition and 3 9 mm caliber ammunition have been surrendered. All of this comes a mere 2 days after Manipur Governor Ajay Bhalla had given a 7-day ultimatum for the return of weapons looted from armories. Meanwhile, the crackdown against terror continues in the hilly areas in the valley. According to sources, the administration has set a new security plan in motion. Sources say apart from intensifying the crackdown on militias and recovering arms, the administration is also focusing on the removal of illegal checkposts. Additionally, ferrying of people and goods from the valleys to the hill and vice versa is also on the agenda. Sources say this could lead to greater deployment of central armed police forces other than the Assam Rifles. But that's not all. The administration also plans to accelerate the construction of the India-Myanmar border fence in Manipur. Meanwhile, the Manipur governor aims to address the rehabilitation of violence-affected displaced people too. He's recently held a major meeting with top officials to review the budgetary allocation for the same. The governor inquired about arrangements for imparting skill development training to displaced people. He's also asked officials of the feasibility of employment opportunities for them as well. Well, joining us live at this point is Major General Rajan Kochar, defence expert. We also have Major General J.K. Bansal, defence expert, live with us. Major General Sanjay Meston, defence expert, is also joining the broadcast. Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, is also with us live. Let me make a start with you first. In fact, Major General Kochar, on this action plan for Manipur and these developments, of course, which have occurred ever since President's rule, of course, in the state, we're seeing various militias surrender arms and weapons, including a whole batch, of course, that has done it today. What do you make of these fresh developments? Is this a good sign for peace?
Thank you, Uday, for inviting me to this important discussion on Manipur post-President's rule. I feel that it's a very, very welcome sign. And I feel that it is a step towards normalcy. Because the first and the foremost step for the state administration under the governor is to restore law and order and de-weaponize the state. And as we are all aware, there were more than 6,000 weapons which were looted from the state armories, and only 2,000, some 681 were recovered. So we still have more than 3,000 weapons amongst the people. So I think this is a step, because this 7 days amnesty which the governor has declared, I think it is sending a positive signal. A second important signal is that the state under the governor is not making a discrimination between the Metis and the Kukis, because this has been one area of mistrust by the Kukis, because they always felt that the state government was pro-Metis. So the incident of 26 members of the Tangol group, which is a pro-Metis group, was a signal from the governor that we are going to crack down on anyone who is going to be armed, whether it is a Metis group or it is a Kuki group, and Arambai Tangol is no exception. So I think this was an important message to be given, and possibly what information I am getting from some people in Manipur is that Kukis are now more inclined to come on the table for a negotiation, for talks. So I think the next step a governor should also take now, and he should not wait for the restoration of the law and order, because this, mind you, is not going to be easy job for the governor, because we have seen that women are also on the streets and they are confronting the security forces, and security forces will find it very, very difficult to deal with women. So, this aspect, it will take time because there are more than 60,000 uh, internally displaced people, IDPs, who are staying in 350 refugee camps in Manipur. So these people will have to be resettled in their own homes. And for that, you need the security situation to stabilize. So I think the governor is going about in a very, very planned manner. He is tackling the security situation of the state right, as the most prioritized task he has on hand. And at the same time, I would also, I'm also of the opinion that the peace committees also need to be formed now, because that is going to facilitate the job of the governor in restoring law and order. Because in case these women who have come on the streets, they have to be told. I think their leaders can communicate to them in a better manner. So I feel that these peace committees must also be formed now and should not be delayed. Because if we delay this process of reconciliation, because let me tell you, uh, this problem of Manipur cannot be solved through a military solution. It has to be a political solution ultimately, or a political, social, kind of a problem. So we have to involve the people now, and I think, as you rightly said, that I think this is welcome news from Manipur, and I think in the next few days we are going to hear more of people surrendering their arms. Uday.
Okay, let me in fact quickly take that to Major General J.K. Bansal as well. Major General J.K. Bansal, lot of weapons, of course, seized, illegal posts removed, a crackdown with multiple arrests as well. Interestingly, all of this, meanwhile, even as certain militia are surrendering arms voluntarily. How do you react to this, this fast-paced progress ever since President's rule was imposed in Manipur? Is this a good sign, Major General Bansal, or is it too early to say?
Good evening, Uday. Definitely, it is a good sign, but it will take long time because there is a certain issues from both sides. Specifically, now with the imposition of the president rule, this Methi, they are not very happy, while the cookies, they are happy. And what the Methi are just blaming cookies that there is a infiltration from the border of this cookie chin, and they are changing the demography. And there is a demand from cookies for the separate administration. They want the separate council, and they objected to the Sambit Patra, who is in charge of this area, about the remark that integrity of this Manipur is the integral part, and so like that there are so many things are there, but it will take some time. And time in the sense, of course, what has been the news are that some process in the officials and the leader at center has started to talk. But it is the initial phase, hardly about 7-8 days. On 13th, the president rule was put over there. And after that, of course, the progress is good, because on that very day, the 9 militants were taken into custody, and about poppy worth about 30 kg opium was destroyed. And now the intelligence-based raids are being done. But one confidence among the people is there is no discrimination. Earlier of such of the raids were put, then the local politician, they used to come and try to get relieve the person who was taken into custody. So I think it's a very long-standing problem from the very beginning. During the British time also, there was a separate administration which was considered, or which was asked for from this cookies on the hill, cookie Nagas and on the Methi. So it will take time, and I think first they have to understand that yes, this the political solution and suffering can only be once they will leave, or they will stop or leave the idea of military groups, where there are so many armies are there, the People Liberation Army on the Methi side, and there is a on the Kuki side, the Kuki National Party, National Army. So once these armed group, they have to reconcile that it cannot be done, then only it will be possible. So I think it will take some time for the normalization and political solution, because once the situation is stabilized and there is some normalcy, which government is trying to restore, that yes, if the person going out of uh, valley, they have to go by air only, and similarly the people from the hills, they have to travel through other part like Mizoram and all. So that kind of thing has to be first come to a normal situation, and then of course ultimate solution is the political solutions of both the groups. Back to you there.
Okay, let me also, in fact, now take that to Major General Sanjay Meston as well. Major General Sanjay Meston, how do you react to the progress made so far? What more is needed to be done to ensure that this pace continues and we do make earnest strides towards long-standing peace now and just not short-term measures?
Uday, firstly, long-term peace is extremely essential. Steps in the right direction have been taken. But firstly, let us understand why this area is so strategically important to us, Manipur. Now, Manipur, since it is one of the northeastern states, and unfortunately, we have a hostile border onto a northern border, that is China. And now what is happening in Bangladesh, and of course, the vulnerability what we have on the Myanmarese border, and our internal situation in Myanmar, coupled with certain of the other northeastern states. So it is strategically very, very important, and it has to be on the topmost security concerns of the establishment. Now, why so? Firstly, we are all aware that the Siliguri corridor is, of course, between the Nathula, the brigade which I commanded, and north of it is China, the Chumbi Valley, and south is Bangladesh border. So the Siliguri corridor and the northeastern state, which I just told you, all the vital states over there in terms of insurgency and all these problems which are happening more so in Manipur, the aspects of security, and of course what is happening in Myanmar, and of course in Bangladesh. So keeping this aspect in mind, Siliguri corridor is the vulnerability, and therefore the entire northeast states of ours is a big vulnerability. And therefore now what needs to be done? Rightfully so, the governor is doing correct actions. It has to be simultaneity of actions, not only security. It has to be socio-political issues have to be addressed. The concerns of both the ethnicities have to be addressed. Firstly, they have to be treated as people of Manipur. I think that is the first thing. So reintegrating these people is a very, very important aspect. Now, how that is possible? Firstly, I think most important facet is the state administration. Of course, now with the governor's rule, obviously the administrative machinery, whether it is the IS officers, whether it is the local police, they have to be revamped. For example, today police has lost its credibility. Neither of the ethnicities trust the police, because it is also now got fault lines along the ethnicities, and therefore a Kuki police officer or a police constable will not be posted, unfortunately, in the valley, and vice versa. Meiti will not be, and even if he gets a posting order, he will be hesitant to be posted in the hill areas. So, firstly, amalgamation of the police forces, having correct officer leadership, and putting them in deployment areas where they have to be truly mixed, of course, considering the ratio factor, and they have to be deployed in these sensitive areas and all these illegal checkpoints, etc. Then will take off very, very well, because then people will have trust. Right now, if in either of the ethnicity areas you have a police people from one particular ethnicity, obviously they will be misplaced trust, and it is going to backfire like hell. So point one is the credibility of the police needs to be re-established, and therefore integration of the police. Second is the administration. Now coming on to the local administration, you have the IS cadres and of course the local state cadres. Now these have to be again revamped. People who have been the IS, maybe Kukis or Maitis, who are posted elsewhere in India, probably as a short gap measure, short step measure, they can be brought back to Manipur. They have got varied experience in various departments of the government of India, including running of administration, and therefore they need to be again posted in various areas in along both the ethnicity lines. So, and the administration under them has to be totally mixed. Once this is happening, the people will start having trust factor. So why I'm highlighting these issues, that the people of Manipur will start realizing that the administration, that the police is their part. They are not of a particular ethnicity, and they could be of any some kind of a you know some kind of a suspicion will obviously erase from their mind. So this is point one. Point two is economic
Yes.
factor. Now, economic factor, what I want to say is, right now, nothing seems to be going from the valley to the hills area. Obviously, we know why.
Okay.
And these people are dependent more so on, things coming from Mizoram, and the cost factor increases. So this public distribution system, everything has to be revamped. And again, the responsibility of this finally boils down to
Okay.
the
Okay, let me get in Gautam Mukherjee as well in at this point. Gautam Mukherjee, what do you make of these developments which have occurred, of course, in the timeline that the governor had also set out? The governor had given a 10-day ultimatum, or rather 7-day ultimatum, to surrender arms, before which further action is taken and to stop the violence. Now, arms are being surrendered, of course, much more is to be done. But it also comes at a time when a new security action plan reportedly is also being set in motion in the region, Gautam.
Well, I think it's very encouraging, the developments ever since the governor has taken over, because he is getting the arms out of the hands of both the Métis and the Kukis. This must continue. They are being convinced that the authorities are likely to take very strict action unless this is done. And all the armed groups seem to be convinced and are surrendering their arms. So first things first is to get the armaments and the ammunition and all the looted weapons back into government custody. Second, there are also moves being made so that the road traffic is once again started under armed escort, and this should allow people to travel freely from the hills to the plains to the other states and back, and this should go on for some time. I am not of the opinion that one should rush into political consultations. The women who are trying to block things should not be allowed to do so. Curfews have to be announced if necessary, and the very business-like way in which the governor is going about it should be maintained. There should be no softening of the pace, because then all sides tend to take advantage. The other is the Myanmar border. That needs to be sealed, probably using paramilitary and military, and so that the movement of goods and services is mainly from other states and the plains of India, and so that normalcy of a sort that does not involve violence, arson, drones, small arms, or drugs. This kind of normalcy can and is being restored at a fast pace and must be taken care of. When we get around to political reconciliation, I really don't think, after such a long period of attempts to do so under the elected government, that we should rush into it. This may be a Kashmir-like situation for quite some time, and will be beneficial for the general security environment, not only in Manipur, but in the surrounding states as well. So governors rule for a long stretch, Uday.
Okay. Now, do you also believe, for this new action plan that is in place, Major General Kochar, that there will be further deployment of additional armed forces there as well, apart from just the Assam Rifles? That's also what sources are indicating.
They just let us understand one thing first. The next elections or the term of the government of Manipur is up to 2027. That is after 2 years. The assembly has been put under suspended animation. So, what is the intention of the government? You have to understand this. It cannot be a long stretch of a president's rule because a government has kept its options open to get back this government as soon as the stability is ensured in Manipur. So, what I perceive is the governor has got approximately 6 months of time because as per Article 356 of the Constitution, the president's rule can be imposed up to a maximum period of 3 years. So here is the case, it has to be extended after every 6 months. So I think the first 6 months are extremely crucial for the governor to stabilize this situation, and he has been given a mandate for that. And the suspended animation clause has been specifically put because the government will like to reinstate this the same government with a new leader, and possibly by that time there would be a reconciliation on the selection of a leader from the BJP. So taking that into account, I feel that this 6 months of window is available. Second important is the question which you have raised right now, that do we require additional forces? See, there are already 288 companies of security, paramilitary forces, BSF, CRPF, Indian Army, and Assam Rifles. So I feel that 288 is approximately what the figure is being given is approximately 40,000 security forces are there in Manipur today. So I personally feel there is no requirement as of now because the violence has been contained, the situation has been contained, and there is no requirement of any additional forces as of now. But having said that, I would like to reiterate that the border management has to be improved there because right now Assam Rifles is 46 battalions in northeast, 31 battalions are looking after the internal security, and 15 battalions are looking after the border management. So here is a case because your borders is extremely porous there, 398 kilometers of border with Myanmar, and you have hardly that kind of a force available to ensure that there is no infiltration across, and also this narcotics and your drugs and your arms, ammunition, everything is flowing in across from Myanmar. And look at the internal situation in Myanmar, because Myanmar border today is not in control of the military junta there. Their border is in the hands of rebels there. So there is an uncertainty of the border. So I feel there is a case for additional forces to be moved in as far as the border is concerned, because unless you sanitize this aspect of the border, you will find it very difficult to restore law and order and normalcy in the state, because according to my...
Yes, absolutely. That's something, in fact, that is on the agenda as well, Major General Bansal, to construct that, very proper border fence between India and Myanmar. That is also on the agenda. Meanwhile, the illegal ferrying of, people from the hills to the valley, from the valley to the hills, also this is something that the government is looking to stop. Illegal checkposts also are going to be dismantled as well. That's also on the plan.
Not only on the plan, it has already been started that yes, the fencing about, we are sharing more than 1600 kilometer area with the Myanmar, and out of that nearly 400 kilometer is with the Manipur itself. So that is very, very important because it has to be sealed. And there has already been report which I mentioned earlier also that yes, there is the cookie chin, which is a specific kind of people. They come here and they are being used as a militant also by this Kuki National Army. And Kuki, they are also asking Kuki. There is some special this order. There is an order, the suspension order, which Methi, they are asking to abrogation of the special operation suspension order. So now it will take some time, and border definitely. You have asked very pertinent question that border has to be sealed because most of the things they are being done from there, and the arms from the China also has been confiscated. There's the China-made drones and the pistol and rifles. So many things are coming, and definitely now there is a chaos. You can't because the junta, they are not having this control on the border. So there is no authority to whom even the government of India can talk. The only thing is that yes, border has to be secured by fencing as well as giving additional manpower. And I think the additional manpower may be required for the Manipur also, in the sense that yes, there will be every time review what is the situation. At times the situation comes out of control, and as the ladies or they are on the road to control that, the special battalion, the women armed forces, this paramilitary forces has also to be inducted. So once there is a will, or the political will is there, which is already has been expressed, I think there will be normalcy, the peace will come, and after the peace process will start, then there will be the political settlement. The only problem is when we talk about the political age, there's about 40 MLA from the Methi group and only 10 MLA from the Kukis, while there's the 59 total MLA in the assembly of Manipur. So that kind of discrepancy always remains. So this has to be really taken into account. That yes, once the political...
Absolutely. Okay, I've run out of time almost. Major General Meston, I'll leave you the last word before I take a break.
Yeah, Uday, coming on to the borders, since one is an infantry officer and as I have walked in these areas physically, the terrain is very, very thick over here, dense foliage, vegetation, nalas, rivers, rivulets. So border fencing desirable, yes, it should be done, but it will be at the cost of deploying large number of Assam rifle troops, because having served in these areas and of course in J&K also, one can realize the substantial number of troops which will be required to dominate all these areas, because again terrain is an overriding consideration. So keeping that factor in mind, how it will play out, that's very, very important. And yet another important thing why the border aspect is there, because of the narcotics. Today not only the poppy cultivation, I think more than that it is the synthetic drugs which are being produced in Myanmar, being supplied by China. Synthetic drugs is something which is of a big problem, and the cookies happen to be the couriers, but it is coming into the valley and from there it is coming to the main India. I think that has to be addressed as a comprehensive package, because unfortunately narcotics brings in funding, and funding brings in weapons, and it's a big cycle. So this whole cycle of drugs, narcotics...
Okay, Gautam Mukherjee, 30 seconds to you. Gautam? Okay, I think we've lost him, unfortunately. All right, we've run out of time. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on the broadcast. It's time for a short break. Much more coming up on the other side.